Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of All Zee Had. This podcast is to empower each other, empower our community and our generation by sharing valuable knowledge through authentic and meaningful conversations. Knowledge is in fact worthless if not shared and passed down generations. So here we share experiences, we share thoughts and ideas, we discuss theories, we question stories. All Zee Had is for those who know just enough to know that they don't know enough. It's for those willing to share and actively learn from one another and looking to get a little bit better today than they were yesterday. It's for those who chase the small daily wins and view their life as a never-ending learning journey. Without further ado, let me please introduce my next guest. Episode, I had the pleasure to virtually chat with my friend Jasmine, aka the Jas Exclusive. Jas and I have been friends for years. Her energy, her enthusiasm, her charisma have always inspired me. She's always had the brightest smile on her face. She's just the kind of person you want to be around all the time. We talked about her journey as an athlete, her love for sneakers, her YouTube channel, and tips on creating digital content. We shared a lot of lessons learned from the past 12 months, the importance of raising our voices on equality. We shared books, talked about finding your Ikigai, that sense of purpose, fighting fears, building self-confidence. So many takeaways from today's episode. It was full of energy, lots of fun. I hope you enjoy.
Are you ready?
I mean, we're recording now. At this point, there's no going back. Jas, the Jas Exclusive. I'm so pumped to have you today, and I'm just stoked to talk to you again. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Let's go. I'm excited to just chop it up today. I know we caught up last week, and we touched on different things. We should have even recorded our call last week.
We should have, honestly. We started getting carried away. We had to cut it. We were like, wait. We got to say some stuff.
For real. When I called you, I was hoping for a 10-minute call and then hop in another Zoom meeting. We turned it into a 45 or 40 minute
like 30, 45 minutes of just us going.
Oh my God. Jas, why don't we start with simply, who you are, what you do today in life, and we'll just take it from there.
Okay, sure. So I guess we'll just start with Rollins because, originally I'm from Georgia, the great state of Georgia. And then I went to Rollins College and I played basketball there for 4 years. And I majored in international business with a Spanish minor. And I also did the 3-2 program. So I did 3 years for my undergrad, 2 years for my master's. So I also have my MBA from Crummer Graduate School of Business. And my concentrations are marketing and entrepreneurship. From there, after I graduated, I moved to New York City, started working up there for about 9 months. And then I realized that the subway and the New York life just was not for me. So then I moved to Philly last year, right before the pandemic. So I have now been in Philly for about a year, actually, like to this day. So
wow,
yeah, a little bit more. And now I am a data analyst. So I just analyze data, do a lot of Excel and things like that.
So most of your day spent on Excel, and you've come about that thanks to your, I guess, undergrad and then Crummer experience. By the way, I am a marketing and entrepreneurship concentration guy.
Wow.
But I think I might drop the marketing concentration and go into finance.
Yeah.
That's just because I'm international and I can't differentiate myself.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Crummer. I feel like they have so many great concentrations to choose from. Like, it's honestly hard to pick. That's why I had to do two. I was like, I love both of these, so I'm just going to do both.
For real. So you probably spoke with Dr. Pete when you were in the entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Pete is the man. We'll probably bring him up later or talk about him later when I start talking about books and stuff, because he's been a mentor for me.
He knows so much about entrepreneurship too.
God, yes, and marketing. I mean, anyways, he's a living encyclopedia. If that's even the way it's pronounced, but that's exactly what he is. So data analyst, that's it's really your job. Nobody really, I guess we don't identify with what our job is. But how how did you come about that? Did your Rollins experience help you get that job? Did you always want to spend your days in Excel? Are you just tell me more about it. Like, how do you feel about that?
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think anyone wakes up and is like, I would love to be a data analyst today. Like, that is going to be my career path. Obviously, playing basketball, I was like, as a child, you know, you think of anything you could be like, oh, I'm going to be a professional basketball player. So then when the opportunity presented itself and the price point wasn't what I needed, not that I was good enough to like play in the WNBA or anything, but even overseas, like, it's just not the same, I would say. Like, you're not going to make as much money as you do working that regular 9 to 5. And then I definitely would say that after that, I was like, all right, like, I actually need to start figuring out what I wanted to do. So that's when I started doing internships and everything like that. And it actually, this is my first data analyst job. And I was like, oh, I actually really like this. Like, I worked at Enterprise. Enterprise was one of the, like, jobs I did when I was in Florida. I interned for Orlando City Soccer, which was actually fun. But I think that this is like the first job where I'm actually having fun, because I did learn a lot of Excel through Crummer and like Rollins and everything, international business and stuff like that. Like, basically everything is Excel. So I came in very confident with the job because I had so many classes. Even the finance classes at Rollins, you do like strictly Excel. Like, you have to turn in Excel files. Right. So I think I definitely learned a lot, which has helped me to this day to be a data analyst. I just think it was a big jump from playing basketball every day to, okay, here's your office, like 9 to 5, there you go. That's why I ended up joining that random league in New York to play basketball, because I was like, okay, I really miss this sport. Like, so yeah, now I don't really play, but I just play like randomly around, but yeah, so.
Yeah, cool. So your baller experience, your basketball, I've always thought you were a baller. Like, you've been throwing, you know, dropping threes, just, you know, even when you were hanging out just with us or with Isaiah and the gang, you were just balling out, you know, regardless. So you think that definitely helped you get to where you are as a data analyst? That helped you maybe, because when we spoke last week, you said how valuable you were in your field, in your company. You think that helped you? If so, how did that help you get to where you are?
I will 100% say that sports changed me and made me who I am today. 100%. Like, even in high school, I played so many different sports: cross country, track, soccer, all that. And so even to this day, like, even in Crummer, we do a lot of teamwork. I 100% give all of that to sports, because you learn also how to be coachable, how to learn from other people, even from coaches, teachers, you know, all of that translates right into the classroom and even to my job currently, because we work on a team now. You work from, you know, your bosses. You have to be able to follow directions and actually provide results, produce results. So I definitely think that helps you in all of that, especially at the collegiate level, because then you're forced to do the multitasking and all that. You have to go to practice. You have to do your work. You have to, even especially in Crummer, when I did my last year, I did basketball and Crummer, and that was just insane. Like, I was like, wow, I am really working hard. But that's what makes you who you are today. And that's why I think I am so like ambitious and driven, like, have to do, you know, something. And I always try to do the best I can, and you know, I definitely commit all that to playing a sport and also doing school your whole life. And that's what we've been talking about before. Like, when you're so like used to following the same pattern, and then once you graduate and like, now you don't have to go to class, you don't have to play a sport. Like, now you can literally do whatever you want to do, be whoever you want to be. And it's like, oh wait, so I don't have to, you know, submit an Excel file for a grade. It's not a grade. It's just whatever I think. Oh, okay. Wait, I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. I don't have to go sprint and do conditioning. It's only if I want. I don't have to lift all this weight. It's only if I want. It's like, you know, all these things, and you're like, oh, I can actually make my own decisions. You know, coming into that, you're like, oh, I am my own person, you know? Like, I'm not Jasmine, the basketball player. And then when you leave and like once I moved from Florida and I moved to New York, nobody knew me. Nobody knew anything about me. Like, they didn't know I played basketball. They didn't know what my degree was in. They didn't know how old I was. They didn't know my family. They didn't know that I'm from Georgia. Like, the only reason they started to know was because when I start talking, and they're like, you're not from here. So yeah, it's just another thing. Like, you get to basically like re-identify, like, you know, reevaluate, actually choose to be whoever you want to be. So yeah.
We touched on that too. We touched on that last week, and I love that. So definitely basketball and your sports experience in general, not just basketball, has definitely shaped you into who you are. And you've probably taken that competitive spirit with you. You've taken that teamwork with you. And I agree with you. I mean, I think that schoolwork has never been a challenge, but the scheduling part, the adaptation part, just making sure that you can fitting, this meeting, this coffee with this guy, and then also time for your homework, practice, conditioning.
And I would also say moving, because you move too.
Girl, I only move.
So far away, and like now even when you're 18 and like you move, and then it's like my parents aren't here, I'm by myself. Like, I was only 6.5 hours away. You're however far, super
I'm
far.
Only 6,000 miles away.
Yeah, you're super far from where you're from. So it's like, again, you're by yourself and having to reinvent yourself again. And then when you move again, it's like all these things are, you're constantly changing and growing and evolving. And I think all of those shape you to who you are today.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If I had stayed in Georgia, I wouldn't be who I am today. 100%.
Yeah. It's that idea of flying in your own wings and being willing to do so from the get-go. Even though, like, I always say this, like, life is not supposed to be lived, looking backwards. It never makes sense when you look at it forwards, but then you keep going, and then you take a moment, you look back, you're like, this all makes sense, right? It was supposed to be this way, and I'm glad that I've taken these choices. I'm glad that I've gone through those experiences. I'm glad that I made those quote unquote mistakes,
right?
Or those choices. Let's just not call them mistakes. They're just choices, decisions that seem right at the time that we make them. And it shapes you into who you are today. I love that. I love that we're kind of on that same page about just making those choices and going with them. And like you said, it's just something that I'm currently suffering with. I always get like, Zee Had the tennis player, are you still able to, play tennis because you lift weights now? Or are you still able to do this or that? I was just telling my friends earlier today, if I die tomorrow and I'm identified as Zee Had the tennis player, I failed in life.
Yeah.
For real. Like, I believe that you can identify with your future self more than you should identify with who you were before.
And it's tough though, because you're stuck, like not stuck, but kind of stuck in who people think you are. So when you evolve and grow, if they're not growing with you, they're going to think you're on the same level that you were on, and you're not. Like I feel like even just throughout this past year, we have grown so much. Like even following your page, like you've inspired me to be like, okay, yeah, like get up, go lift, like measure my food, get out here, nutrition. Like, I just feel like there's so much more to, like you're saying, Zee the tennis player, Jas the baller. Like I'm so much more than just a basketball player, especially.
Yes.
So, and I feel like even through, all the books we've been reading and things like that, we're just realizing that there's more to life than that, those 4 years or that time before. Like, and if you think about it, we graduated 22, 23, right? That's so young. And I think that we're always constantly like, everyone's like, hurry, like hurry, like chill, like enjoy life and just take it as it comes, There's no rush. Literally no rush.
Everybody's got their own timeline. I agree with you that when you said stuck, I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe you meant like society is getting us stuck into who we were, or they want us to be stuck in like the achievements that we've quote unquote achievements even, right? There's many points. You've scored this many points in 4 years.
GPA.
Exactly. What even is that?
What?
Some key metric that someone decided that
someone made up, this society made up, literally. And like, that doesn't even equate to your knowledge.
Do you know, there's a quote by Einstein, and I'm sorry, Albert, if I butcher this. He's my homie. But there's a quote that says, if you evaluate a fish's intelligence by its ability to fly, then he will go in his entire life thinking he's stupid. Imagine, we're in school where there's elephants, there's monkeys, and there's other kind of, animals. Well, you can't you can't evaluate the elephant by its ability to climb a tree, but a monkey is probably going to get a 4.0 GPA, right?
Right. Yeah.
I've learned that recently, and I'm like, you can be your own KPI. You can be your own key performance indicator, right? You can evaluate yourself based on your own progress. Right. And society's putting us that, graduate at 22. Actually, before that, you need a high school degree. You need a college degree. You need to go to a big college. Hey, I've always been asked that question. Why'd you go D2 and not D1?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Who cares? Who the fuck cares? You know?
And I think that's so important when you're coming out of high school. It's like they train you to think you have to go D1. It's like you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
Thank you.
You know? And I think
you have to be married by 30.
This thing with authority, because it's like they told you that you have to go D1. You have to go D1. You have to go play a sport. You have to, get good grades. Like you have to do all these
never things. Motivates us. That only puts limitations into our abilities, like it tells you that if you haven't done this by this age, you failed. Oh my God, why are you still even doing single?
And
are you not married yet?
Who said that that's the blueprint I have to follow,
Blueprint, girl. Who the heck gives a... I don't know if I shared this with you, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, and this guy, I gotta remember his name. I'll put it in the video once we edit this. Okay. But he was on the Joe Rogan's podcast one time. I think his name is Rajib or Ravi. He's a very conscious guy, and he shared that about life's meaning, right? He said that if we were given the definition of life's meaning at birth, like the blueprint that you brought up, then life would have no meaning. We would all be like ants or robots, just doing the same thing repeatedly and not being creative, not being humans. And the meaning of life, based on what he said, the meaning of life is actually finding one or making it your own, right? Creating the meaning is entirely the meaning of life, right? That's why I always repeatedly say on my posts, ain't no destination, the journey is everything.
Right. And that's so true.
Exactly. It's what you make out of it. It's what you make out of it.
And what book that reminds me of? You know what book I'm going to say? The Alchemist. The Alchemist.
My God. I need to get on that. I have started it.
That book is all about like finding your purpose. And he goes on so many different little journeys and he learns lessons. And the whole book is basically about finding your purpose and finding, your purpose in life and following your dreams and following your heart. And it's like, is that truly in school, getting the grade on that test? I remember in college, I was like, okay, in the grand scheme of life, this little test that I'm going to have is not going to do anything. And I'm so happy that I learned that, but that was like years into it. I started trying to stay up late and and I was playing basketball and I was on the bus back, flashlight in there,
my God,
trying to do homework. It's like, oh my gosh, please relax. Like it is not that serious. It's not.
Give yourself a break. Yeah. Give yourself a break. I'm glad you brought up Paulo. By the way, if anyone doesn't know, The Alchemist, it's by Paulo Coelho. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I have the book. Yeah. Can you take out the cover, or do you have just you have?
Oh, it's paperback.
Got it. Yeah. So I got the book too. I have started it, but I'm ashamed that I haven't finished reading it.
It's okay.
I got it from like 3 people within the same week told me to read it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. My brother said
it's a good eye opener to like the things in life that really matter. And I think that that's what we're all starting to realize, even through the pandemic. Like, does your 9 to 5 really matter? Like, is that truly what makes you happy in this world? Some people love their jobs, and I love my job, but I'm just saying, like, is that what I want to do on this time on earth? Like for the rest of my life, I'm 24. All right. 24. So through however long I am blessed to be alive on this earth, I'm going to spend it like that and not do anything else. Like I think that's why we have this little constant thing to be nutritious and constantly learn. And like that saying, you learn new things every day. And it's like, you should like, yeah, there's so much on this earth that we don't know, like countries we haven't visited, the way people live, cultures. And I think that's why I was so drawn to international business, because there's so much more to life than the American dream, than America. Like, like,
yes, 100%. Do you know
in this society?
Do you know about Neil deGrasse Tyson?
No.
girl, I'll bring up I have a book about him that I would like to share. Neil deGrasse Tyson is a physicist, astrophysicist, any metaphysicist, all of like he's one of the geniuses of our era. And one of the books that I've read from him is called Astrophysics for People in a Hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And I would definitely recommend it to anybody who's listening, and you as well. A friend of mine shared it on Instagram, and I was like, hey, that looks like an interesting book. He was like, you should definitely give it a read. And then I started watching videos of him. He's been on the Joe Rogan's podcast several times. He's got his own podcast, I think, or videos that I listen to all the time. And he said, and I don't know if you agree with this, but he said, it's something that I had no idea about. So when I came in the US, they started telling me like commencement ceremony, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, why is commencement? Because in French, commencement means commencement, the start. And he said that commencement ceremony, when we graduate, right, mm-hmm. is actually should be telling you that you are now ready to commence your life learning, or your learning in life. And mm-hmm. he, like you said, life should be a never-ending learning process. Every day should be a new learning experience. You should be willing to learn something new, discover something new, go to a new place, experience something new. And I just love that idea that he's been presenting. You know, he presents life in a different way. He explains that no matter how much knowledge he's had, or he's learned over the years, he is only willing to learn more. And that's what drives me every day. I know that there's something out there that I don't know yet. Mm-hmm. And so every day I want to learn more. Every day I'm trying to learn more, discover something new. And I mean, if I ask you, when was the last time you did something for the first time, Jas, what would you answer?
Oh, the first time?
Last time you did something for the first time. It's tough, isn't it?
I mean, like moving, I guess, would be something. Like moving to a new city. But I mean, I've done that several times, but I guess moving to like Philly would be something new. But that was, again, last year. So, I mean, yeah, I read new books, but doing something for the first time.
Right? Like skydiving, or I don't know.
I would never do that. No.
Sometime in November or December, I went paddleboarding for the first time.
Oh, okay.
You know,
paddleboarding's hard.
I know. I fell on my face like so many times. Yeah. It's all good though. But anyways, you know, it's always more exciting when you take life that way and you're like, let me go do something for the first time today. You know, let me take myself on a date. I've never gone on a date by myself. Let me try that for the first time. Let me just go for a walk without my phone, without this, without that. It could be as simple as that, you know. Let me today not turn on TV all day.
Yeah.
Just, it could be something like that, you know, or learn something new. Let me read a book in a different language. Just see what it is, right? But we are often stuck in that repetitive thing, that because our brains love, this goes to the power of habit. Our brains love to calculate certainty, right? So we're like, the reason why we watch the same show and we go back to that same TV show and we watch it several times, it's because our brain knows the outcome. And so we're like, I know that when I finish that show, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not going to be like, oh, I hated that show. No, because I've loved it the first time, I'm going to love it again, you know?
Right.
So we always got to be looking for that uncertain and new experience. Right. You said that book opened your eyes on what your purpose is. Right. Do you know, have you heard the concept, the idea of Ikigai? Mm-mm. It's spelled Ikigai, not J, AI. It's a Japanese way of saying what your purpose is, the theory of finding your purpose in life, what drives you. Dr. Pete actually is the one who introduced the Ikigai theory to me. What would you say is your Ikigai today?
Oh my goodness. If I knew my purpose in life, one can only wish. I truly hope that I find it, but I think that's what people get so focused on, is like finding what they're on this earth for. But I truly believe that like, that's what you should be working towards daily. Like, I think that's the purpose of life, is finding something to live for, if that makes sense. Like the book, the alchemist is literally, he's following his dreams and his heart. Like whatever he thinks is the best thing to do, that's what he does. And he like, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's basically about like his desires and things like that. So he goes through all these journeys and learns different things. And I think that that's what we do in our lives, like through whatever, basketball, reading, like all these different things, they shape us to who we are. And I think that that is your purpose in life. Like your purpose is just living each day like it's your last, being happy, finding happiness on this earth. Like, I don't think it's really here to like, oh, you have to do something, like that's your purpose. I think that people get too focused on that, but your purpose is literally where you are now is where you're supposed to be. Like we already talked about before, like you said that earlier, but like, it's not a rush. It's not a timeline. It's not anything. You could literally die tomorrow. Like I say this all the time, I could die tomorrow. And then what? Like you were saying, like your legacy and what you leave on this earth, like what you leave behind, but truly who measures that? You know, like if you're not happy with yourself, then like no one else is going to be happy with you. Whatever legacy you choose to leave, who are you even judging that off of? Who are you leaving in charge to judge you? Because I know only God can judge me, so I'm not worried about anybody else on this earth. So any opinions, anything that I do is on me. You know, like I think that we're also like, oh, what's your purpose? It's like my purpose is whatever I want my purpose to be. You know,
today. It could be different,
it could change tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Even 100%. Last year, I would say my purpose last year is different than my purpose this year. You know, like last year I was like, okay, I'm going to read some more. Like I'm going to read this, you know, whatever. And now I feel like my brain is wired totally different just throughout this last year in the pandemic and focusing on myself really and like learning and growing as a person. I think that that's your purpose. And like you're saying, for that day, you can wake up tomorrow and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And you don't have to.
Yeah. 100%.
You don't have to.
100%. The journey is everything. I always repeat to myself this, like the
Trust
journey,
the process.
There's no destination. Like imagine you put success in a place. What happens when you get there?
Right.
You chill. You what? Like imagine this success is Mount Everest. What happens when you get there?
Right.
You stop. You know, life doesn't stop. The process of finding purpose, striving to get there, repeating, trying again, failing, trying again. I think that's, at least in my end, that's what drives me. You know, the fact that there's something new to do. There is another goal to reach. There's another Mount Rushmore to go after, you know. And I love setting impossible goals just because why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? You know, just set something that it's impossible. Like I would love at the end of my life to have spoken to every living human being on earth. I know how impossible that is, right? I know how crazy that sounds, but call me crazy. I'm just going to keep living every day, trying to impact someone, trying to touch someone, trying to shake a stranger's hand.
And like, I might think that's crazy, but like, who am I? You know, I'm just another human being. Like what I choose to say doesn't mean anything, you know, like we're so like, I think we're taught that too through like school and everything. Like you're taught to be this way and do this and do this. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Like, who are you? Literally, we're all equal on this earth. And I think that's what it comes down to. We're literally all equal. So who are you to tell someone else how to live their life? Who are you to tell someone their purpose? Who are you to literally tell someone anything about them? You know? And that's what I think, that's what, again, next book, 4 Agreements. That's what this is about. It's one of the 4 agreements is, this is by Don Miguel Ruiz. And one of the 4 agreements is, don't take anything personally. And it's like, nothing others do is because of you. And I think that's like so important because it's like, and in the book, it's like, write this on a sticky note and stick it on your fridge. It's on my fridge right now. Don't take anything personally because then you're letting others influence your life. You know, like just because someone's mean to you, like that's a reflection on them. They didn't have to say that rude comment to you, you know?
I agree. I totally agree with that. And I mean, I'm working on that personally.
Right. Me too. I think we all
are. My entire childhood, I was self-centered, thinking that every comment was directed to me. Everything was meant to hurt me. And once I started switching that narrative, that perception, actually, just switching the perception of life, it's not really meant to attack you or hurt you. It's truly a reflection of how those people feel internally, and not in a bad way. They just project those insecurities onto the world, right? And the simple example that comes to me, well, I mean, I've watched like a lot of times the same video of Jay-Z saying, I don't know if you saw that on TikTok and on Instagram. He says, you know, your loved ones, your close people, your relatives are gonna throw their fears onto you. And he said his uncle growing up, he told his uncle, I want to sell records. I want to sell million records. And his uncle said, oh, you will never do that. That's not even possible, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And he said, today I sold millions of records, millions of times. And it's facts. Jay-Z is, you know, the GOAT of our era. Right. And I personally relate to how my people around me have kind of always said, oh, you can't reach that goal, or you can't become a tennis pro, or you can't hit that, you know, get to the US, or you can't play the college level. And it's only because those people have not even dared to try or even dare to jump off that cliff, right? And that's what society does. It just limits us onto what we think we can achieve. And
I think that's so true with that whole thing, like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's like, I think that's why we love
no, you can't. Wrong. You got to say, no, you can't. Watch me.
Right. And I think that's it though. Like, we love proving people wrong. And I think through us, like, our competitive spirit, it's like, oh, I can't. Like,
hold my beer. Hold my beer. Hold on. Hold my beer.
Like, okay, well, you know.
Okay, check this out. So, Jas, I think I've known you since, well, like 2017, 26, something like that.
Probably 16, I think.
I came to the US in January 2016. I've just finished 5 years.
Okay, so probably the end of that year then.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I remember we were at a Darty one time at Swoop in like my second semester. So definitely around then. Darty, what even is that?
Oh my
God. Anyways, I've been a fan of yours ever since KOTD.
KOTD,
on
baby.
Snapchat. On Snapchat, kicks of the day, and you were always, you know, collecting cool shoes. Something that I was like, why the fuck does she does that? And then I started realizing how it's culture, and it's also just, why not? You know, it's fun. You enjoy doing it, and you started doing it on Snapchat, and I was always watching it, and I'm saying, this is fire, this one's not fire. And today it led you, or maybe it didn't lead you, but today you have your own YouTube channel, you have your own brand that you are growing, the Jas Exclusive. Hit that follow button on YouTube, you guys, if you haven't yet. Follow on Instagram. But how did that idea come about? How did you get the idea of, I want to start a YouTube channel and talk about this, or vlog, or even just share what I like?
Yeah. Honestly, I would definitely say it started with the KOTD, the kicks of the day. For some reason, I definitely think it's culture, it's basketball, it's all of those things. Like, through shoes, I think you can express yourself. And I think that, like we were saying with, you know, being in school, you can't really accurately represent yourself and showcase who you are as a person. So I think shoes gave me that little outlet I had to, you know, be whoever I wanted to be. Like, your shoes really, like, the shoes that you wear, this is why I truly, like, if you see on Instagram, there's a comments like, I make shoe contact before I make eye contact. And it's like, because I think that shoes truly show who you are as a person. Like, it shows what colors you like, it shows your style, it shows, you know, just things that you wouldn't normally get from.
I think it's been proven psychologically, by the way.
Right. And I think, and that's the same thing with, like, your clothing and things like that, like your appearance. I think that's how you choose to, like, display yourself without saying anything. And so I think kicks of the day was just something I was like, okay, I really like these shoes. And I think that, like, other people would like them, or, like, I don't know. It's just something that came into my head when I was, like, walking around campus and I started doing the little videos. But yeah. And then the YouTube, I think we all have a dream of being a YouTuber. Like, you see all these influencers with, like, you know, YouTube and everything like that. But again, I think it was more of expressing myself as my own person, and not as, like we've been talking about, who you're stuck in and who people see you on, like, first glance. You know, like, oh, she plays basketball. Oh, she's majoring this. Oh, she's this. I think that my YouTube channel gives an exclusive look, honestly, into, like, who I am. And, like, I can talk about whatever I want. And I think that's the fun of it. And like you're saying, like, you feel like you were, like, with me in my videos. And I think that that's why I like it, because it brings us together, honestly. And that's what people say about social media too. And I think that that's the same thing. Like, people that don't like now I live in Philly by myself, you know? So like all these people that follow me, my friends and family from Florida, from Georgia, from, you know, all across the country can like just follow me and look into what I'm doing and all that. And I think that's why I'm kind of like, my Instagram is like the same. Like you can show whatever you want to show and not have to show everything, you know? Like it's kind of like you can pick and choose how people see you, how you're perceived, and like how you want to display yourself. So
I agree. I couldn't agree more with that. And it's also just a better way to use this digital world. I think that when
fun.
you first,
it's fun.
Exactly, make it fun.
You know? Yeah.
Make it fun.
And
Don't make
and like
it
you're
just
saying, like the creativity, like you're constantly in this box of society puts you in this box of what you're supposed to be doing when you're this. Like if I want to make a YouTube video about my shoes, I'm going to do that. If I want to make a YouTube video of me going to do something, you know, I'm going to do that. Last year I made a cake because I was by myself in quarantine. I made myself a birthday cake, like, you know, just stuff like that. Like anything that you think of, like just do it. Like you starting your podcast. Yeah, do it. Like who cares? I don't care if I have 1 subscriber. I don't care. I'm still going to post because it's fun and I like it. And I like editing. I like, you know, putting funny stuff in the videos. Like it's just something that I can create besides my, you know, what I do during the day.
9 to 5. Yeah, exactly. We all want to be more creative. We all want to touch on that. I don't know if it's right side or left side of the brain, but we all want to touch on that creative side of the brain.
Yeah.
And like you said, just why not? Just express yourself. And it's not even about hiding other sides. No, I just want to express myself this way today. Today I'm showing cakes. Tomorrow I'm going to do a cake. You know,
tomorrow I'm going to show these books I read. Like
exactly. And it's basically making, I hate basically, sorry guys for having used that word. Take that off the script. It's, you know, it's a way to use this digital world in a slightly better way instead of, you know, sharing hate or hiding
positive light. Yeah.
Just share, express. Like you said, the podcast, I started it, just want to touch one person with not one episode. Like every episode, I would love if anyone could take a small nugget, a small excerpt out of it and take it for them, you know, not that they say, oh, I learned this from that. No, I just learned this today. You know, if a friend of mine could learn from your experience, from my experience, we've made the world a better place than it was the day before. And that should be everybody's purpose, somewhat. We should all strive to make this earth better than it was when we were born. You know, it shouldn't be the other way around. We shouldn't be just consuming everything that it's been given us. It should be kind of the other way around. Make the world a better place around you, help a friend, empower someone next to you. Each one teach one, right, without really, you know, any ego involved or any expectations, right, to get credit or anything in return. That's just my perception. Nobody's gonna agree. Nobody's gonna agree with what I say. You know, it's like you said, if you had 1 subscriber, it'll be plenty. That's it. Okay, so I guess going off of that YouTube topic, give me selfish request, but also all of my friends, right? One or 2 tips into, you know, how to get started, how to continue, just any tip that you want to share about having your own brand, your own digital channel.
Okay. Honestly, I'm not super famous. I don't have a lot of subscribers, but this is just what I like and choose to do. But one thing I will say is be yourself. And like everyone says this, but honestly, that's so true. Like be yourself, be authentic to who you are. Don't post something because you think, ooh, this will get a lot of likes. Like, ooh, I'll get subscribers from this. Like post it because it's genuinely who you are and who you want to be. And I think that's why the brand is kind of me and like actually my friends, you know, is most of it, like for now. But I think that's important because they're going to know who you are. So when you're starting out, they're going to know. Like people that follow you and watch you, they're going to know you, they're going to know who you are, and they're going to see what you have to say. So I think that it's important to be who you are and be true to yourself. I guess another thing would be just start it. Like just start it. I wanted to make a YouTube channel for so long. Like just start it. Like who cares? And I think another couple of people that I have in the digital world say the same thing. They're like, oh, should I post this? Should I post this? Like post it. Post it. Who cares? If you like it, post it. It's your page. It's your channel. It's what you want to show. If you like it, post it. post it, because who cares? Like, the validation that we want from other people, why do we want that? And I think that that's a constant thing. I know I'm saying this like, why, but it's like, it's true. These are questions that I have, that I constantly ask myself. Like, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, because it's like, why do we care about what Johnny from, you know, 6th grade says? You know, he doesn't know you anymore. Like, the people that we follow are like people from way back in the day. They don't know you. They don't know who you are, you know, to this day. So who cares? If you like something, post it. If you want to start a YouTube channel, start it. If you want to be like Zee and start a podcast, start a podcast. Like, you know, right. Do whatever you want, because at the end of life, your purpose, whatever, this might have been your purpose. You don't know because you didn't try. You might have achieved it, but you don't know because you didn't try. Anything that you want to do, like Jay-Z, if he had listened to his uncle, he wouldn't be Jay-Z. If you listen to whoever says you can't do this, you can't do that. If I had listened to the haters back when I was playing basketball and said, oh, you're not going to do that, guess where I would be? Still in the country in Georgia. Not that that's bad. I love Georgia and I love the country.
I know what you mean.
You wouldn't be the person that you are today, you know? So just do it. If you want to start a YouTube channel, do it. Let me know. I'll subscribe. I got you.
If you're listening to this and you're trying to start any project,
yeah,
go ahead and start it. One of my most recent posts on Instagram was something that I learned from Simon Sinek, or Sinek. I butcher everybody's name because of my pronunciation, okay. So I'm real sorry. But he said, dream big, start small, but most of all, start. Starting is the challenging part. And start. I read this post like about a week or two ago on his LinkedIn, and I commented, start, because what you become in the process is far more important than the dream or the outcome or the result. You know, you might want to start for one reason today, and throughout the process, you will learn so many different variables, right? I mean, you're going to learn so many different things that what you become in that process is far more important than what you wanted out of that start, you know, out of that initial start. Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. You know, we all want to have a plan before we get started, but then really the plan is to start and then adapt and then, you know, just adjust to the environment's changes and accepting that we might deviate out of that initial itinerary.
Yeah.
Please, God forgive me. But you see where I'm going. The result almost won't matter once you're in the process. Like you said, 1 subscriber, 5 million subscribers, you will still be enjoying that. And plus, what you choose to post today might sound corny, might sound not cool or whatever.
My stuff is corny.
But who cares, right? I mean, you don't identify with it. You don't like, it's not just stuck. You're a continual work in progress. You're continually transforming, and you're identifying with your future self, you know? It's not the other way around. I think that's what we always kind of get stuck in our heads. We make up some weird scenarios. Our brains, you know, make some this is not going to work. Our brains are wired to do that, by the way. We always, our brains are meant, or are just, I guess, fixated into trying to fight uncertainty, you know? Like the time dimension is only existent in our brain. You know, we created time to make sure that we can calculate what a day looks like, what a week looks like, what a life looks like, etc. But our brain really doesn't make any difference between reality and imagination. You can tell your brain whatever you want in your head, and your brain's going to believe it. You could say that I'm an influencer. You could say that I'm a YouTube superstar, or you could say that I'm a loser sitting in my couch today. It's up to you.
The mind is so powerful. Honestly, the mind is so powerful. If you tell yourself
imagination is the biggest nation.
Stupid, guess what? You're going to be stupid. If you tell yourself you're the greatest YouTuber on the planet, what are you going to be? Greatest YouTuber.
That's facts. Imagination is the biggest nation. And that's you got to use that into power. This book right in behind me, it's by Russ. Russ, the artist, is from Atlanta. I've been a fan of his since 2015. He's one of the biggest grinders. He's a pioneer of the DIY, like independently working. He loves Paulo Coelho, and he talks about The Alchemist. This book is what told me ain't no destination. The journey is everything. But he basically says if you want to do something, just do it. If you feel like you need to jump off a cliff, but you are not sure if you will have, no, listen, you will have the necessary wings to fly, you will grow those wings. Like you said, start, and then along the process, you will learn what is necessary to sustain or keep going.
And you'll figure it out. Like so many videos, even now, I went down a rabbit hole on my YouTube channel the other day, and I was just like, wow, I was having so much fun making these videos. And I think that's what it's about too. Like, just have fun. Like, life is not supposed to be serious all the time. Like, we're on this earth for however long we are. So like, enjoy it, find happiness. If you want to post a video, if you want to make a podcast, if you want to go and record yourself doing something that people will think is stupid, but you had the most fun, then it doesn't matter. It's all about your opinion. When you die by yourself. You're alone. You're alone. All the money that you have doesn't matter. All the other things, like what you said to your parents, like, you know, you're gonna be gone. So what do you want to leave? What impact do you want to leave with people? You know, how do you want to be perceived? But again, like, yeah, it matters that you're a good person, of course. But I'm just saying, like, it could go either way. Like, you can leave a legacy, or you can just say, who cares about, you know, what.
As long as you set the right intentions in your actions, I don't think it's anybody's job to judge you. As long as we set the right intentions, trying to do better, trying to be better. Like we said before we hopped on this call, we're all like just flawed humans trying to be better, trying to get better.
And trying to figure this world out.
Trying to stop biting our nails. We're trying to stop, just doing stupid stuff, trying to stop throwing trash from our car window. We're all flawed.
Please stop littering.
Jas,
yeah,
we've talked about plenty of books. I got books behind me. The Power of Habit, I've shared it with you.
You have. I'm getting that. That's my next read.
Powerful. The Power of Habit, The Power of Now are two books that I strongly recommend. It's not, none of them are like, quote unquote, a Bible that you got to follow and listen to, but they open your brain, they open your eyes into so many different things. The Power of Habit has helped me establish more discipline and just get out of the habit loops. That's what they're called. Our brains are triggered to work in one way. Like, we get triggered by something, that something makes us take an action, and that action gives us a reward. Example, we are triggered by the sight of a chocolate pretzel. We open the cabinet, grab a chocolate pretzel, eat the chocolate pretzel, and get dopamine rush in our brains. Woo! The habit loop works for anything else. You could translate that into a cigarette. You can translate that into going to the gym. You could translate that in having a conversation and get a lot of adrenaline running out on your system. And once you realize that that's how the brain works, and not the other way around, right? It's not like the universe doing this to you or whatever. Yeah. It's you are in control of your triggers. You can change them. You can change those patterns. That's why I super highly recommend that book. I've talked about it in my previous podcast, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to talk about it in other episodes because it's just, I love it, We talked about The Power of Habit. We've shared books. What books have you read in 2020? How did 2020 look like for you? We've all grown a lot as a society, as a generation, just cognitively and intellectually. We've tried to be better human beings. How did that look like on your end?
I love this question. So like I said, I moved to Philly like end of January, beginning of February. So it was literally right before the pandemic. And then, so I have a couple friends just from my job. So I haven't really, done a lot, which is why I was getting into reading books more. And I started it actually when I was in New York. And I think it was because I wasn't playing basketball. So I was like, okay, I have to find something better to do with my time than just, watching Netflix. I'm like, okay, I need something to stimulate my brain, So obviously these two, this one was actually 2021, but 2020 was The Alchemist. And I also read The Defining Decade. This book is awesome. So this was recommended to me by Jeff Merton that played on the basketball team. So he recommended this. Shout out Jeff. And it's The Defining Decade, and it's why your 20s matter and how to make the most of them now. So I actually bought this book for my brother as well. My younger brother, I bought this for him for Christmas. I was like, you need to read this because it's written by a psychologist. So Meg J, PhD, and she actually writes it based on her, her patients. So it's common things that she saw in like 20 somethings that's what she calls them in the book, 20 somethings, and the struggles that they go through like on a daily basis and through life and things like that. So this was amazing. I've gotten several people on this. I know a couple other people that have read it, and they're all like, yes, like this is amazing. As you can see, like tabs galore, because I'm just obsessed with, tabbing, because I'm like, I love just going back and like flipping through,
100%.
Like, when you need just a little pick me up. So that was one. Another one, obviously it wouldn't be 2020 if we did not talk about race. So
yes,
obviously a lot went down, but now I think that it has become more known that it's not just a problem in the country, and it's not just a problem with the people, it's the system. Racism is so deeply rooted in our system that's why equality isn't happening. We can do anything we want. We can go to protests. We can do all these things, which are great. And we should be doing that. And we should be bringing awareness to racism in our country, but it's also so deeply rooted in the system. So You Want to Talk About Race was a great book. Again, tabs. I know a couple people that recommended this to me. And then second thing would also be on Netflix. They have a whole section category, right? And it's called
you asking me to say that?
I was looking for the word. I'm trying give me some ideas, brainstorm. But it's called Black Lives Matter on Netflix, and it's a whole series and all these movies and series and things like that bring awareness to Black Lives Matter. There's a movie. If I could recommend one movie for you all to watch, it would be called 13th. So the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, but the 13th is all about the government. The literal government, and how they influenced the outtake and the outlook of Black people in this country during election years, critical election years, and how they basically manipulated the media and manipulated all of these things to bring us to what we now have as racism in this country. So obviously, I have always been an advocate for equality. Obviously, I think everyone should be an advocate for equality. However,
remember when we talked about this, right? I can't believe some people might disagree with the statement, right?
And I am from the South. I grew up in the South. So I know a little bit about racism. Not a little bit. I know a lot about it. So next book, the autobiography
that's the one
of Malcolm X. Malcolm X, if you don't know anything about Malcolm X, I can recall from high school, I did a lot of not a lot, but I did projects on the civil rights movement because I think it's so important in our country. And if you read this book, again, tabs galore. If you read this book, you will be like, we're in the same time. This is the same exact time as 1965. This is the same exact time as 1964. If you read this, the situations are identical. We have not moved forward one single step. And again, with the tabs, so if it's really important, star. But yeah, obsessed. And Malcolm X was literally, the media manipulated him to be violent and this and this. And I think that that's ultimately what led to his murder. Was he was just constantly roped into these negative and violent stories. So people were like, oh, they work for Malcolm X. And Malcolm X would be like, what are you talking about? It's an autobiography. It's from his mouth. So it's obviously these things are true, but there's also books in here, and it'll talk about this one thing. I have to read it. I was like,
go ahead.
Yes. So it says, where is it? Okay. This sentence right here. Okay. So it says, white society hates to hear anybody, especially a Black man, talk about the crime the white man has perpetrated on the Black man. And if you think about that, if you digest it for a second, yes, every time we start talking about the equality, the misrepresentation of Black people, the disproportionately affected problems in this country for minorities, then all of a sudden we're getting into politics, and we don't want to talk about politics. And when you grow up in the system, when I went to school in Georgia, okay, when you start talking about race, everybody looks to the one Black person.
It becomes taboo.
Everybody's like, ooh, we're talking about slavery. Ooh, we don't even know the full story of slavery, because one of these books in this file said that, no, it wasn't this book. It was a different book. Another book I'm reading about racism, but she says, oh, I lost it. Oh my goodness. But she said, history books are written by the winners. The winners. The people that were enslaved.
They were too busy fixing their lives.
Where's the book about that? That's what I want to read. I want to read what actually happened. So that's what I think is important, but then nobody wants to talk about it. Why? Why is that? In 13th, Nixon says that they planted drugs into low-income communities. It's baffling. It's mind-boggling what you can do with a little bit of research. And I think that's what I was saying with this book. I was like, this is sad. This is sad that we're in the same exact time frame. The same things are happening, rioting, marches, things like that. We're still fighting. We're still fighting. It's an ongoing fight because the system, it's so deeply rooted in the system. And obviously I get very hype about it, but it's honestly, it needs to be addressed. And there's no more, let's not talk about politics. It's not politics. It's human rights. It's basic human rights. Minorities are so disproportionately affected. They're so disproportionately affected. If you look at healthcare, if you look at education, these are facts. These are numbers. These are facts. This is the truth. So yeah, so those are just two. I've been getting deep, but I think that there's ways to educate yourself, and I think that is important if we are going to change anything in our country.
It starts from within. That's exactly what I wanted to touch on. You said it earlier, like the problem is in the system. Mm-hmm. And Denzel, when he was doing Denzel Washington, I speak about people like they're my homies. Denzel Washington
I know who you meant.
Denzel Washington in when he was doing the interviews after Fences came out, which is a great movie. If you haven't watched it, go watch Fences by Denzel, Viola Davis. I mean, it's a great movie. He says that it starts within. It starts within the household. It starts within the individual. And so, like you said, one of the first times when you posted like 3 or 4 books last year, I remember on your story, you said, I personally want to learn more and don't think that I should just be speaking, but I should also be feeding myself, nurturing my intellect, and knowing more about this history, because none of us know enough. Mm-hmm. And it always starts from within. The reason why a lot of people choose not to talk about it is because they're quote unquote ignorant to the topic, or they choose not to know more, right? They choose to avoid knowing more or looking for more. So I'm pro of just going to learn more, open your eyes to something that you haven't known before, especially about this topic. One thing that, and I may be wrong in this, one thing that amazes me in a bad way is that Black Lives Matter. I repeat, matter. How is that a statement that we are like, you know what I mean? Like we're trying to get through.
I know what you mean.
Matter.
But like, the funniest thing is when they try to combat it with all lives matter. Nobody said that they didn't. No, literally no one said that they didn't. But
I want to bring a little light into the
and
actual issue.
Doesn't all include Black or no? Doesn't all also include Black? So how is that your argument back? How is that your comeback? All lives matter.
We didn't say Black lives are better, or we didn't say like how is that even a statement? Just matter, you know? And the other thing is when you hear someone says, "Oh, I'm for equal rights." Oh, thanks, bro. Like, what's the other? Were you no? Like, were you
like
equal rights? And then you just like, what? How is that even a thing? You know? I might be wrong, and I might be even like wrongly expressing this idea. But if anyone want to know where I got this from, is like I was watching a Netflix is a joke on YouTube, and there's like an excerpt of one of the comedians who says, "I can't believe that, you know, equal rights, or I'm pro equal rights, is a thing, because that would literally mean that someone stood there and was saying, you know, oh, I'm for equal rights, and then someone on the other end was saying, nah, bro, I don't think that's a good thing."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you really think about it, it's like, how does that statement trigger you? How does the statement Black Lives Matter trigger you?
Matter.
I don't get it.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm really glad we touched on this, and the message, we're not trying to spread any hate onto anybody. We're not trying to even like create any protest.
It's just awareness. It's awareness.
Be aware. Go feed yourself a little bit more information.
Having these discussions, these are important. History books don't tell you the full story, and that's a fact.
They tell you a perception. They tell you how one person has seen it. Yep.
There's one sentence. There's one little section about the civil rights movement. One section. This has been going on for 400 years, and there's one section. It's ridiculous. Like, we're forced to educate ourselves. I was forced. I had to go look at several different things when I would try to find information in school. You have to literally hunt. Why? Why are we hiding our history?
Here's my question to you,
Say
Jas.
what y'all did. Say what happened. Write it down. That's what they say.
Always
written by the winners. Whoever has.
There's always two sides of the story.
Exactly. Where's the other side? Where's the other side? Look for it. You got to look for it, guys.
Feed yourself some more information.
Honestly,
I totally agree.
A favor.
So we said 2020. We shared a lot of books. These are pretty much the books that I've read in 2020. The Power of Habit, The Power of Now. The Power of Now opens your eyes on just consciousness, being in the present moment. I definitely recommend it to all my friends. I plan on bringing it up with a guest in the future. My friend Michael Dennis has read. He's got a YouTube video, by the way. Shout out Michael. He's got a YouTube video where he breaks down this book and how this book has changed his perception on life. The book opens your eyes on how to make the effort of being in the present moment where your feet are, and stop living in your head, stop living in the fake past, right? The perception of your past, because you only have one perception of how that past was, or whatever past experience, the perception that your eyes had, and stop anticipating the inexistent future, right? We always try to anticipate. Like I said, the brain tries to eliminate the uncertainty of the future by calculating risk, calculating how long a suffering task will be. You know, I don't know if you've ever had this feeling, but when you walk into the gym with your trainer or with the team, you always want to know how long an exercise is going to last. Hey, how long are we doing sprints for? So that your brain is like, okay, so I'm here for an hour, I'm here for 10 sprints or whatever. So we always try to fight that uncertainty, and the book kind of opens your eyes on just be in the present moment, and when you are where your feet are, when you are in the present moment is when you are most creative. And to me, that's been key, and that opened my eyes a lot. Third book, or actually this was the first book that I read in 2020. I know it's pink, guys. Please judge me. I don't mind. It's called The 5 Love Languages. If you know me, you know I've come out of a long-term relationship, but at the end of 2019, and I was recommended this book by 2 of my friends. I bought it right away. It was the first book that I read in 2020. I read it like so quickly. It basically, oh my God. It breaks down, his name is Gary Chapman. Chapman, again, probably butchered his name, but he breaks down love into being spoken in 5 different ways. And the idea is that in life, we all have been taught a native language of love. So the same way that you have grown up in your household speaking English, and I've grown up in my household speaking Moroccan, if I tell you, Jasmine can brick, you'd be like, what?
Yep.
I just told you I love you, but you have no idea.
I love you too.
So you have no idea, right? If I say, right, Ich liebe dich, you don't speak any German. How can you understand that? So this book opened my eyes on what love languages are, and that we all have a native language, a primary love language that has been taught to us by our primary love takers, our primary caretakers, our parents, right? Or our adoptive parents, or our adopting family, if we do have one, or even just our professors teachers that we've spent hours with in a day. Our parents have loved us in a way that was their native language as well. And we have learned that language to be our primary language, and it will be different. Jas, you speak a different language, love language, than I do probably. And so if you choose to have a lifetime partner, you're going to have to choose to learn a secondary love language. if you choose to marry or spend your life with someone who speaks Mandarin, well, I'm going to break down the news to you. He won't understand your language. You're going to have to speak Mandarin to them. Otherwise, it's just going to be like, something like trying to explain it somehow. So just open my eyes on, don't be surprised that someone doesn't understand you or doesn't speak your language. Maybe communicate it better. Maybe tell them, hey, I really appreciate the flowers, but gift receiving is not really my language. I appreciate more you spending some quality time with me. Right? You know what the 5 love languages are, right?
Right.
Break down the 5 languages for us, or your take on what you know about them.
Words of affirmation,
which is
just like positive reinforcement, right?
Yep. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful.
Yeah. Words of affirmation, acts of service,
just
like doing things for people, like thinking of them, and you shouldn't, like when you wouldn't normally,
Yeah, so like how can I help you? How can I
right.
help make your day better? Or, can I do the dishes for you? Or can I cook you a meal?
Gifts, right? Isn't gifts one?
It's gift receiving, yes.
Receiving, right. So do you like getting gifts? Is that your
so like showing up to your husband or your wife or your partner at 5 p.m. bringing flowers or just anything really, bringing a gift. I don't know, PS5.
Yeah, and then quality time. That's actually mine.
I enjoy quality time. Yeah. I'm still figuring out what my love language is. Yeah. I don't want to share it.
Well, I did like a little quiz, and that's what it said. So I definitely want to read that book, though. I think the book would be helpful because I think it is important to know other people's love languages and your own. I think that's so important, especially in a partner. So, and then the last one is physical touch. So like hugs and.
I think that's a natural. I think that the physical touch is anchored in us as human beings.
Oh,
we all love a little hug. We all love a little shoulder massage. We all love a little kiss on the cheek, and it evolves. But I was fascinated when I read that book. I did the quiz and stuff. But we evolve as human beings, and I hope to learn more love languages. I care a lot about love. I think life should be all about giving love, loving people around you, just the way they want to be loved. If you meet someone, be a blessing. Don't be a lesson to them. Be a blessing, right? Be someone that they needs to be. If you need someone, if someone needs you to be just a listener and not an advice giver, just be a listener. You don't need to speak the language that has been spoken to you. Just be who they need you to be for that moment, and love is giving, right? Love is not the other way around. Love, you don't expect to receive love, you just give it.
Right.
That's my take on it, though.
That's awesome.
Russ, we've talked about It's All in Your Head. Shout out Russ. I love this book. Super easy to read, and it actually is broken down into his songs. So like every chapter, so he's got like 3 parts, right? There's the introduction, which is just a quick page, and then he's got part 1, delusion, and he goes about, he's got 6 songs in there. I knew about the songs before I knew about the book, and he goes like the part 1 is being delusive or correct me if I'm wrong, but he says like manifest, which is one of his songs, speaking your life into existence. The formula is always you versus you. There's no competition. It's just like you competing with yourself. The other side. So you always think that, you got to stay where you are because it's a comfort zone, but the other side is, hides more than you know. So just be ready to face that fear. And then he goes the persistence, which is I guess where we are now. See what I did there? I skipped basically. The persistence part is knowing that what you're doing is gonna take you somewhere, knowing that, just having that faith, having that self-faith, self-belief that no matter, you might lose sight of your destination, but if you keep being persistent, you will get there eventually, no matter how lost you get in the way. And then the third part is gratitude. Take a moment to enjoy where you are, enjoy your potential, and see that you can go other places. And then he finishes with, the journey is everything. There's no destination. The journey is everything. So this book was super easy to read. Definitely recommended to my friends, everybody. I mean, it cost like $20 or $10. You could probably find some audio version online. I just recently started Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Shout out Malcolm. I posted him like a couple of days ago on my Instagram story. And I talked about NGT, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson, astrophysics for people in a hurry. If you're interested in the universe, if you're even interested in knowing what composes us atomically, like, I don't know if you know, but we're just a bunch of atoms that are stuck together and that move, and we do have a brain that thinks, just electromagnetic fields and a lot of just information being spread around in our nervous system. But astrophysics for people in a hurry is, if you're not a physicist, or like if you're not a science oriented person, but you still want to learn about Earth and about the universe, the galaxy, etc., astrophysics for people in a hurry is definitely a great read. I actually have the Paulo Coelho book right here. I'm not gonna pull it out.
Wow.
I will get to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish it. I don't know if you've read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Oh, I read it.
I didn't finish it because it just kind of pissed me off. Some of his, I loved it, but it was just not captivating for me. I'll probably get back to it. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Books are meant to, take some from it and go back.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a great book. A lot of my friends have told me that it changed their perception. What's your take on that book? Tell me about it.
I loved it. I think that's so important. And I think that's what we've been talking about for this whole podcast is like, why do we care? Why do we care so much about what other people think? And I think it's so important to, who cares? Who cares? Literally. And I think that that book is just like, it's so true because it's an art and it really like tells you how to get to that point. I feel like I've always like kind of been like, I don't care because
you have ever since I knew KOTD.
What'd you say?
Ever since I knew about KOTD, I knew you just could care less about what people say. I agree with that. I
mean, like we've been saying, we're only on this earth for a certain amount of time. I'm not living for you. I'm living for me. So I'm gonna do what makes me happy.
That fear of judgment is just like fascinating to me. I've always feared judgment.
Yeah.
We shouldn't, man. I mean, we just shouldn't fear any judgment. Yeah. Like, who are you to judge? Exactly.
Right. Exactly. And then another book is You Are a Badass. Have you read that?
No. By whom?
Oh, that's a good one. Hold on, let me get it. Okay, yeah. So You Are a Badass. It's by Jen Sincero. I read it a while ago, but again, with the tabs.
Oh
but this one is all about like your thought process and like you are a badass. Like you need to think that it's all about how you think of yourself. And if you say things to yourself, like if you keep telling yourself you're negative, if you keep telling yourself you're dumb, you're truly gonna believe that. So
Jas, let me pause you. You know who I just thought of? Someone that you and I are probably both fan of. I know you're a Warriors fan, and if anyone hates you for that, just let them do.
Ask me if I care.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I know you are, but I love Draymond Green. Like, I think he's a badass, and the fact that when he shows up to an interview and says, like, I'm the best defender in the world, and go ahead, take that statement out of my mouth, I praise him for that. Because if you truly don't believe that you're the best at what you do, then why are you doing it?
Right. And people think that they're being cocky. They're having confidence in themselves. And I have always been told that I'm cocky. I've always been told I'm cocky.
Good for you.
But if you don't think that you're the best, nobody else is going to think you're the best. If you don't have confidence in yourself, nobody else is going to think that you can do whatever you set your mind to. If you don't have confidence in yourself, there's like no one else is going to believe in me as much as I believe in myself. And that's a fact. Nobody else is going to love me as much as I love myself. And that's what people like the love languages that you're talking about. If you don't love yourself, how do you know how you want somebody else to love you? How do you,
big. That's big.
Oh my goodness. I've been caught I was cocky since high school.
That's big. Okay. This excerpt is going to be big on your YouTube channel. I'm going to probably take this excerpt and promote it as number one. If you don't love yourself, how do you expect people to love you? And honestly, how do you expect people to know how to love you?
Right.
What was I gonna go with? Yeah, the Draymond Green thing. If you don't think that you're the best at what you're doing, then you gotta be delusive. You gotta believe that you're the best at what you're doing.
Like you said. So why are you doing it then?
Exactly. But at the same time, be conscious that you're not perfect, that you got flaws. Right. We all know that. But there's no shame in expressing your confidence. And I think that people who call you cocky or who I guess, just hate you for being cocky or being, let's just call it confident, please.
Yeah.
Confident,
yeah.
They just project their insecurities on you, right? They just don't.
You said it.
Couldn't tell themselves that they are, that person. And quite honestly, I've been insecure before about so many things in my life, and when someone brings up that topic, I always try to project my own fears onto them, like, oh, you will never be able to do that. That's like a big mistake. If someone is confident, it should fuel you to become more confident, and it should just inspire you to become a stronger person or a better person in general.
And I think a lot of people feel threatened because someone is confident, and it's like, why? Why does that bother you that I'm confident? And I think as a woman too, I think that it's constantly like, oh, she's intimidating. Is it intimidating, or am I just confident and don't allow disrespect?
Is it intimidating, or are you just insecure that a female is more confident than you?
Is it you or is it me? It's not me. I'm secure over here, and everyone has insecurities. Everyone feels a certain way. Like, even through basketball, I think that that's where I was constantly confused, because it's like, you want to be good, and then like people don't want you to be good, and like, oh, you're being cocky, and it's like
that validation that we were talking about earlier, right? We have been taught like that you can only be validated by other people.
Don't dim your light, don't dim your shine, don't dim yourself because someone else feels threatened or anything by you. Like, I think that is so important, and I think that it has taken a lot for me to get to this point, because everyone will try to bring you down and try to insult you. That's when people start trying to insult
not
you.
Not intentionally. They just they just don't know any better.
But sometimes it is intentional. It's like, oh, she thinks she's all this, and it's like, you should think that too. You should think that you are the shit too. I wish everyone would. I think that,
like, sorry, my bad.
No, go.
One, like, recently I posted something on Instagram. And it's so true about me. Like, that's why I always say, like, love is just giving. You can't compete with me. I'll just tell you right now, you can't compete with me. You know why? I want you to win too.
Yeah.
Like, I know that there's plenty for all of us. We think of nature, of the universe as like a ball that we're consuming from, but really it's full of abundance. There's plenty for all of us, and there's more. Like, I'm faithful, and so are you. God does not forget any of us. Like, God is great, and it's not like gonna take something from someone to give it to someone else. God is not a teacher.
So
God is not a bad coach. He's like, there's plenty for all of us, and we should all be willing to give to each other. We should be all willing to empower each other and share.
Like we say, like, as we've been talking, like, celebrate other successes. Like you were saying last time we talked, like, it costs nothing to comment on someone's post. It costs nothing to hype somebody up. It costs nothing to share their link, like little things like that mean a lot to, small creators like us. We're like, oh my God, like, I love that. So, like, I know we comment on each other's posts all the time, but it's like, just little things like that. Like, hype somebody up. It costs you $0, and it'll probably make you feel better. I know when I hype somebody up, I'm like, wow, like, I love that. Like,
good energy is contagious.
And like you're saying, give love. Whatever energy you put out is the energy you'll get back. 100%.
The law of attraction.
Law of attraction.
Yes, sir. We'll talk about that another time too. Hey, Jas, two things.
Okay.
What are you taking? I know it's already like February almost. What are you taking from 2020, and what are you leaving behind? Just you can keep it short if you'd like.
Leaving behind.
Maybe some fear, at least to me. Sorry, go ahead. That's up to you.
I would also say, like, I've actually, now that you said it, like, fear of your own success, I think holds us back in a way, because we're like, what if I do, accomplish this? Like, oh, no. It's like, no, go for it, So I think I would say that, like, fear of your own success and fear of your own, like, positivity and growth and all that. And then something I'm bringing is the growth of 2020. Like, that was my whole mantra for 2020 was growth 2020. Because I feel like that was 100% my mantra. And I'm like, 2021 too, like, last year I had New Year's resolutions, but this year I was like, I don't really want to change anything. I just want to continue continue getting better and continue growing and all these things. So I think that because last year, one of my resolutions was like to read more books. So I think that now that I've implemented that, like, I don't want to really, I have nothing that I want to like change. I just want to add and continue growing, continue trying to be the best version of myself and exude positivity and, you know, try to make people see that they're awesome and, you know, live this life.
Yeah, just love people around you, man.
Yeah.
Just love people
Only
around
have
you.
one life, so
It's so free to love people around you. And
exactly.
I love that you said that. You brought up change. I think that the only inevitable thing in life is change. The only constant in life is change. The only thing that is gonna keep happening no matter what you do today is change.
Yeah.
The rest is all subject to change. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's at least like that was one of my big takeaways. First of all, my main takeaway, what I learned is that I am the only common denominator in every single situation that I face. So wherever I go, whatever scenario I face, whatever circumstances, the only common denominator is me, which is why my brand is called All Zee Had, because I'm all I have. And I know it was, that's basically, that's the idea behind it. And one thing that I'm leaving behind is fear of judgment, and also fear of my own, like you said, my own success. We've been brought up in a limited society where you shouldn't reach for the stars, you'll never get there.
Right.
What? No. Right. Just shoot for whatever you want to shoot for and go for it. I think these are the two kind of things that I'm taking and leaving behind. Leave that fear of judgment, fear of failure. Failure is part of the process.
Right.
I don't know if you heard, if you finished listening to the entire episode, but I talked about the stop signs. Failures are just stop signs in your life. You take an L, accept it,
right,
evaluate right, left, straight, and then decide where to go
next. Use it as a lesson.
Exactly.
Right.
There's no losses, only learning experiences.
Right.
And no success is ever going to be final. No failure is fatal. No success is final. Russ.
Love
no
that.
failure is fatal. No success is final. That's like one of my big takeaways. So my last question for you, Jas, and again, thank you for doing this. What's next for the Jas Exclusive? What I want to buy merch. I want to buy your hoodies. Tell me what's next. What's coming up next? Any new videos coming up?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was great. I truly love your energy. Ever since I met you, you've always just been a positive and a light to everyone you know. So thank you for having me. And congrats on this podcast. I can't wait to see what you do with it. So what's next for me? I'm going to try to make more videos, honestly. I think that it's something that I love to do. And I think when quarantine happened, I was forced to kind of change my YouTube because it was mostly just vlogs and things that I was doing, like that. But then when quarantine happened, I was forced to, get into the books. And then I did a quarantine shoe haul and things like that. So I think that I was forced to maybe, focus on other things instead of just traveling and, so I think like you're saying, change is inevitable.
Right.
So
you always have a plan, but then the plan changes.
Right. And you have to be ready. So, and then what's next, I think, is the videos. And then I'm going to be working on that shop for the merch. I got to figure out how to do that. So, yeah. So, I think
you're looking at a website, or you're looking at just
website probably. Yeah.
Got it. Well, guys, if anyone's listening here, if you got any knowledge to share about how to create your own website, how to make hey, if you got anything to share about what we just need right now, I don't even want to go back to it.
Anything you have to add, anything you want to talk about, reach out to us 100%.
Please, we won't help. We are here to help each other. And like we said, there's abundance in life. There's plenty for all of us.
Right.
Let's not try to take from each other, but let's just try to give each other more love and more affirmations, more help. Like you said, my goal is to help people around me. It sounds corny, and I think that it's so repeated, this help. Forget help. I just want to be like a guidance. If you can take
like you were saying in your intro to your podcast, you said knowledge is nothing if it's not shared. And I think that
Einstein, that's not even me. That's Einstein, I think.
Einstein. Well, I mean, even you, I'm saying that could be the background of your podcast. You're just sharing knowledge. And I think that's important because you're getting it from everybody, and everyone sees the world differently. So I think that's important too. So.
Yes. You know, that's funny you brought that. We are not just who we are who we meet. We are the books that we read. We are the partners that we have in life. We are the failures that we've had. That's what we are. And if you don't share it, it's almost valueless. You know, let's share value. Let's share knowledge. Jas, anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to talk about? I mean, we've been talking this up for so long. I'm pumped. I'm really excited that we got to do this.
Me too.
100% we're doing it again.
Yes.
And maybe in the future we'll do it in a one-on-one setting. Maybe I'll be in Philly. I love Philly, so maybe I'll fly over and we'll hang out. We'll go chop it up. But I really, really appreciate you for doing this.
Of course. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Yeah.